Good evening, Central Valley. This is Kevin Little, and welcome to this week's episode of Valley Movers and Shakers. We've got three very interesting guests, three movers and shakers who are going to be with us this week. We've got Marshall Wallace of the Black Tie Limousine Company here in the Valley. We also have Mark Castro, who is an attorney here in town. He also operates a logistics business. And we have David Saunders, a local architect and artist. So we've got three fascinating people who are going to tell you their stories about how they are pursuing their dreams, how they're working hard to fulfill their goals, and we hope that this positive message will interest and inspire you. For those of you who have not tuned in yet, this is a show where we aim to give you good news for a change. You hear enough bad news, but on this show, we try to give you good news, where you hear people doing positive things, where people you can hear are pursuing their dreams, who are making our community a better place. You know, you look all around, everything that you see, from the store on the corner to any establishment, any building, it's because somebody worked hard to fulfill that, to achieve that, to create that. So in other words, they moved and they shook and they built something in this community. So we hope that hearing from some of our guests inspires you to do likewise. So once again, we've got Marshall Wallace, Mark Castro, and David Saunders, and we're going to start our show right after this short message. Welcome back to Valley Movers and Shakers. Once again, I'm Kevin Little, and we're going to get started with our first guest. Our first guest today is a Valley Mover and Shaker who operates the Black Tie Limousine Company. Welcome to the show, Mr. Wallace.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. So why don't you explain to our viewers what's your connection to the Valley?
My connection to the Valley is I moved here probably about in 1992. I moved here after I got a job with the Department of Corrections, and I started with the Department of Corrections in Delano, California, and from there, that's what brought me here from Southern California.
Okay, and so you've stayed. So you've been here going on 26 years.
Yes.
All right. So that's obviously you were in a different career, working in corrections, and I'm assuming you retired from there, and then you went into other business ventures. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
I was also in the Air Force, stayed in Reserve, Air Force Reserve. I stayed there for 25 years, and after I retired from corrections, I realized that there's more to do. I didn't want to just do nothing. You know, my retirement is pretty good. You know, I'm doing pretty well for myself, but I realized that I wanted to do more still. So instead of going out working for somebody, I realized that I had the aptitude to start my own business. So I started my own business, driving limousines.
Well, you know, I'm going to think about what someone in your position might have at least thought or had someone close to them say. You know, you've got a great retirement. You can play it safe and live well and not take these risks, not reinvest money that you've already earned from your first career into something that's risky. Did people tell you that sort of thing?
That's exactly what I did too. You know,
Right.
Because I went to work on timely, I did everything I went to work. So I cashed in on some of my my vacation time that I had saved up, and they paid us. They cashed us out for it. So anyway, you know, it was a little bit of money. So I used some of that money to pay for the initial investment of purchasing the vehicles and things like that. And you're right. A lot of people wonder, well, why are you spending so much money doing this when you can just relax? And there's more to life. There's more to offer. I wanted to. What one guy told me, I kid you not. When one man told me, one of my mentors, I was telling him, he's asking me, why did I do the business? I said, you know, I want to do something that I enjoy, something that I want to do. And he looked at me, he said, that's the wrong reason. He said, if you're not in this to build something for your family that you can pass on, build something to build, if you're not trying to better yourself and better your family in the things you don't do something just because you like it. If you enjoy what you're doing while you're building something for your family, that's a win-win. He said, but you should be in this not because you like it, but because you want to make something and build something for your family.
Right. And so that was the goal. And
Yes.
approximately what year was that when you decided to pursue transportation and providing transportation services?
That was 2016.
Okay.
2016. I
All
retired
right.
in 2015. Took the first year off, riding my motorcycle, going every place, just doing whatever I wanted to do. And then in 2016, I was going to go out, get a job doing, just kind of specialize in because I kind of specialized when I worked for Department of Corrections. I had a skill set that I could have easily gotten a job outside, very easy, got a job making very good money. But then I realized that, you know what, there's more to this, and I could possibly make even more money than what I was making for there. So
Right.
so that's what
Because,
I did.
some of the normal career paths that folks who retire from law enforcement take, they go into private security, private investigations, things of that nature.
Right.
And you decided to do something that was quite a departure from the area that you had been in before.
Exactly. What I was doing was I was a compliance court compliance officer for Department of Corrections. So my specialty was ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act. So I would go around teaching classes to the various different institutions, teaching staff members about how to make sure that we're in compliance with the court. So knowing that those type of lawsuits were going into the counties and the cities as well, I knew that I could easily sell my skill set to the counties or to the cities and let them know that I can help them stay out of the courts like I've helped our institutions get out of the lawsuits that we've been in. So that's something that I could have done it, but I realized that I want to do something else that I want to do, build something that I can pass on to my family. I know if I did that, that's something that I have to leave behind. But this, what I'm doing right now, I can pass on.
Now, you started your business in 2016, but I'm suspecting that the dream started long before then, the idea that ended up being the Black Tie Limos. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
When did that get started?
Ooh, that was a very long time ago. Probably in 80s and probably early 80s, 70s, probably early 80s.
And what interested you in the personal transportation services field at that time?
Well, I was brand new in the Air Force, and and just seeing the types of vehicles and seeing what people are doing. I'm like, that might be something nice I'd like to try one day. And I actually did get a job, and I was doing it back then, but I had a responsibility. I had a family, kids. It wasn't paying very well. It wasn't reliable at the time. I sure couldn't go out and start my own business at the time. So what I did was I chose to stick with my military career in CDC until I got a good foundation for myself, and then I decided to pursue the limousine business.
Okay. Now, can you give us an idea of how your business has developed and grown since you started it?
Wow. Okay. Well, it has grown quite a bit. One of the things that I've learned is customer service. Providing, making people feel that it's their vehicle when they're utilizing the vehicles, and being timely. It's been hard. It's not been easy. I tell you that right now. It's not been easy because coming into this new career field. Coming to this, and I had not done this in the Central Valley at all, and I didn't know anybody. So I tried to reach out to some of the companies that are actually doing it. They were kind of hesitant about helping me out a little bit because they just kind of taking money out of their pocket. That's the way some of these people feel. So I went out to the other cities, to the bigger cities, to talk to mentors out there, and they've helped me develop a business plan and things like that. And I've grown I'm doing okay so far.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Now, you started out with a few units?
Two vehicles.
Two vehicles?
Yes.
And how about now?
I have 4.
Okay. And you're based in the South Valley, correct?
In Visalia.
In
Yes.
Visalia.
Yes.
And what's kind of your service area?
We go over. We go any place. We have some Mercedes Sprinter limos now. We have a Mercedes Sprinter limo and a Mercedes Sprinter shuttle. So we can go any place our customers desire, or any place they want to go. I've taken customers to Las Vegas, San Diego, Long Beach. Some families wanted to go to Disneyland. They wanted me to take them to Disneyland. They wanted to start their vacation early, take them down to Disneyland.
Right.
And I went down there and picked them back. So we've even taken some people to San Francisco for some customers.
Okay, so you go wherever the client wants to go or needs to go.
Yes.
You'll do it.
Yes.
Okay, so so you've got two limos and two sprinters. What
Yes.
and sprinters are the luxury vans? Is that what they
Yeah.
are?
Yeah. So the Mercedes Sprinter limos, Mercedes Sprinter limo and a Mercedes Sprinter van. They're the vehicles that's kind of they're used more in the bigger cities. Los Angeles and San Francisco. There's a few companies here, and that's one of the reasons why I did purchase them, because not too many companies around here have them, because they're very expensive. They're like $100,000 vehicles and stuff. So, but they're very comfortable, especially going like wine tours and things like that. You can actually stand up. Very nice vehicle, very nice, very comfortable. It has TV, Wi-Fi, has all that stuff inside there. So, in a regular limo, you're sitting down. And because as human beings, we're social beings. We like
Right.
to interact with each other and stuff like that. So if we're in a limo, we're right here, and other people are sitting way over there. Well, in a Sprinter limo, everyone's all facing each other and real close. So very nice vehicle, very comfortable.
So what's the goal moving forward?
Go forward is I actually want to get it's two more vehicles. So I've taken note of this last year of the vehicles that people are requesting. I know what it is I need, and
Okay.
I will have it by the end of this year.
Okay.
So I can fulfill that void, and I will continue to grow. I'll take one guy told me. He said, crawl, walk, run, and
There
that's
you
what
go.
I'm doing. So right now I'm walking still. I'm not running just yet, but I'm just walking. And
Right. Sounds like you want to keep your future plans under a little bit of wraps, and I respect and understand that, because
Yes.
some of your competitors could be watching.
yes,
There you go.
Yes, they are.
There you go. So
Yes.
you're definitely in entrepreneur mode. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's say that someone, and there might be someone out there who's watching you, who's thinking, maybe they've retired from a long time career such as you did. Maybe they have a dream to pursue it, but they just don't maybe have the confidence, or just they haven't seen anybody do what they've done. What's some good advice that you think you can offer to someone who is perhaps where you were in 2014, 2015?
Right. My recommendation to them was, if it's something that they want to do, just go do it. Don't let someone tell them that you can't do it. You're going to always have people, because most people take the safe route when they're going about doing things. They want to take the easiest way to be able to go to wherever they need to do, and not take chances, not take risks. If you don't take a risk, you can't get no rewards out of it. So to me, it's worth the risk. If you want to try something, try it. If you fail, get back up, try it again, dust yourself off, try it again.
Okay. So some people might think, having a limousine company is, maybe not as much work as you can probably tell them it actually is. Maybe they think, oh, you're just kind of on cue, just waiting for somebody to call you up asking for services. But there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there?
Yes, there's a lot of things going behind the scene, and I tell you, the hardest thing that I've learned, what I'm dealing with right now, the hardest thing is finding people that want to come to work. I tell you, that's the hardest part. It's just
Right.
trying to find people, qualified people that have the same passion or same vision. It's somebody that's going to actually, because they're going to be out there driving a limousine, working for my company. You're going to be out representing my brand. So if you're going to be out there talking and interacting with the customers, I want you to represent me in a very positive way. And having some people, talking with people, some folks, when they respond to applying for jobs for me, they no social skills whatsoever. They don't. How can I say it? They just don't have the qualifications.
Right.
They don't even show up. They don't even show up timely. One guy was supposed to have been there at 11 o'clock.
Right.
He was supposed to be there at 11 o'clock. He called me at 12.
Oh, well, 11, 12, what's the difference? I'm just kidding.
Looking for a job. Looking for a job. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
So I mean, there's probably, I'm pretty sure, at least one or two people who are looking for a job, and I don't want to, get too preachy, but top 3 tips. If somebody is coming to apply for a job, you as an employer, what do you look for?
One, to be timely.
Okay, be on time.
Be on time.
All right.
That's one thing. 2,
The appointment's
don't-
for 8, not 8-ish.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
The other thing is, don't come with pants on the ground. Don't come, come properly dressed. Come like you represent yourself. Just understand that whatever employer, whatever job it is,
Right.
you got to dress the part. You got to let them know that you're going to be representing them, whatever job it is, may be, wherever it's going to be at. But you're going to be representing that company. You're going to be
Right.
that ambassador. So you need to be dressed appropriately for that, and also to have a little background about the job. Kind of know about what type of work you're going to be doing. That's going to kind of be expected of you, so you can go prepared and let them know what you have to make that person want to hire you at that one on the spot.
So basically, be on time, look ready, and do your research.
Yes, sir.
All right. Fantastic. Well, Marshall, we wish you the very best of luck moving forward, and thank you so much for being on Valley Movers and Shakers.
Thank
We
you.
hope to have you back again sometime.
Well, I hope to come back sometime. Now, if they do need to rent a limo, please don't
Right.
forget.
That's right. Oh, I was going to give you, because this is how we finish with all our guests.
Okay.
Anything else you want to tell anybody out there watching?
Well, if you do need a limo, please give us a chance. Give me a chance to sell myself to you. Our website is theblacktielimos.com. The phone number is 559-697-5466.
Perfect. The Black Tie Limos, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any transportation needs, you couldn't do better. And now you've seen the face of the company, so you know you'd be in good hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Valley Moves and Shakers. Once again, I'm Kevin Little, and we're here with our next guest for today's episode, Mark Castro, who is a local attorney here in town and also operator of the logistics company Castro and Castro. Mark, welcome to the show.
Pleasure, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Great. So, you're a busy man. You're
I
one
am.
of the busiest people that I know. You have a full-time law practice,
I do.
and you operate a trucking company that's also extremely busy.
Correct.
How do you do that? Do you sleep?
I sleep. I get 6 hours of sleep a night.
Okay, great. I didn't mean to start off on a funny note, but
No, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
So, what's your connection to the Valley? You're a local, right? You're born and bred here.
I guess I am the Valley.
Right.
I'm third generation in the Valley. So my grandfather moved here as an orphan, and he started the logistics company, and he was also a labor contractor.
Okay.
And then he went out and he was actually appointed on city council in Mendota. That's where our roots come from. So he was the first Hispanic city council member in Mendota, California, which is a suburb of Fresno.
Right.
It's about 50 miles west of Fresno.
Right.
They had an adobe house out there. My dad grew up in the adobe house, and as a result of it, my dad went out, he got into farming,
Right.
and as a result of it, they began expanding the logistics company, began getting into farming. Grandfather passed away, my dad took over everything. My dad's health declined a little bit, so the business declined, and as a result of it, I went to Notre Dame de Namur University, which is near Belmont, California,
Right.
and then I came back. When he got sick, I took over the logistics company, and then I also went to law school here.
Great. So, you obviously get your family gets its hardworking spirit from your grandfather, who, that was back in the 50s.
Correct, yeah,
Right.
right around the 50s.
And so, at a time when, not to get political on the show, but it was not easy, right,
Yeah.
for a Latino person to strike his own path and build a successful business back then. It wasn't easy.
No, not at all.
And you probably heard a lot of stories about that.
I have quite a few.
Right. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about your law practice?
So, I got a general practice, and the emphasis of what I'm doing is it's litigation. I do some family law. In conjunction with that, I do some criminal law. A big portion of what I'm doing right now is some of the civil litigation, trying to take an emphasis and moving some of it into trial right now. Some of the things that I also do is I represent the indigent people on a pro bono basis. Somebody who comes into my office, they're born in the same locale that I was in, have deep root connections to where they were. I'll assist them in filing either a domestic violence restraining order, I'll assist them in workers' comp, I'll assist them in navigating the issues that people come on a day-to-day basis. For example, if someone gets hurt, they don't know where to go, the employer denies them on workers' comp, I'll refer them out to SDI, assist them to walk them on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes I'll take fees, seldomly I don't, because these are people who don't have the ability to know the legal capacity or the legal knowledge to know where to go.
So you're not an attorney who, like, maybe some of our viewers have this stereotype, lawyers are just, they just want to shake you upside down and see what kind of money falls out. If someone really needs help, regardless of whether or not they might be able to pay for your full services, you try to help them as best you can.
I always do.
It's fantastic.
Even if we're running into a situation and they don't have the funds to keep moving on, I form a connection with the client, I form a connection with the case, and I just do my best to keep moving forward and assisting them.
So how long have you been in practice?
About 5 years now.
Great. And I understand that you fairly recently relocated. Now you're a resident of the Tower District, your business is, that's right?
That I am.
Where's your office?
I'm about 2 blocks away from here. I'm over on Hedges and Wishon.
Great, great. So do you enjoy practicing here in the Tower District?
I do. I got 2 staff members now, and I also brought on an intern. The intern is moving her path through, she's going to be a valedictorian through McLean High School, and she's on her way to move to Princeton. So
that's fantastic.
We got a neat little practice going on now.
That's great. So you got a good group.
I got a good team.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your logistics company. I know that there's all sorts of different types of subspecialties in logistics, but let's hear about your company.
So our logistics specialty is an ag-based logistics specialty. What we do is we primarily haul for packers, growers, and in conjunction with that, anything specifically in connection with the ag business. For example, there's a trailer company that I just recently talked to up in the Manteca-Lathrop area. They connected me with some people over in Phoenix, and we're going to be moving some trailers for the farms, the packing sheds out in Phoenix, and we'll be doing that. So we move some stuff from the first point of processing to the second point of processing, and in conjunction with that, sometimes we haul out of the field to the first point of processing. It just depends on what time of the year it is. We haul commodities such as almonds, pistachios, cherries, oranges, prunes, walnuts, various sorts of commodities.
And your trucking company, your Castro Castro, it's called.
Correct.
How long? And that's been in business continuously since the 60s?
Probably about the 60s. The first truck we bought one truck. It was like a Diamond T truck. It was in an archaic type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, and we still have it. It's not in a running condition, but at some point when I'll get that truck back up and running, just having it for a show.
You keep it on site at this point, at least, as a reminder of your roots.
And where we started, correct.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Tell our audience a little bit about how Castro Castro has grown.
So when I took over the business, we had 2 trucks and we had about 3 sets of trailers. Now we're at 6 trucks and we own 20 sets of trailers. What I did is I started utilizing my legal knowledge to be able to expand that, but in conjunction with that, really able to know the regulations that got passed through on AB 32. What AB 32 is, it went out and it started putting greenhouse gas regulations on specific industries, and one of the primary industries it put on was the trucking industry. As a result of that, what he had to do is to go out and put certain air filters on our trucks to ensure that they weren't spewing greenhouse gases and NOx emissions.
And AB 32, just for some of our viewers, that was the law that was passed, I think, now about 6 years ago, perhaps?
I think it was when Governor Schwarzenegger was still around.
Okay, so maybe a little bit longer ago. That required more stricter emissions controls for trucking. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
School buses and trucks.
Great. And so you were able to use your legal knowledge to transition Castro Castro more easily than maybe some of your competitors once that law came into existence.
That's correct. And And since I've grown up in the area, I also assisted some of, I don't look at them as competitors in the area. I look at them as more comrades. So, for example, sometimes we have to move a tractor or something like that, and I don't have the specific trailer to do so. I'll call up one of my friends and I say, hey, do you mind if I rent your trailer for the day? They say, no problem, come and pick it up. When this law was coming down, I was assisting them in being able to navigate the legal hurdles to ensure that they can stay in business.
Now, we had a guest on last week who talked a little bit about the pride that he took as a local business person in giving back to the community, in helping families who do business or maybe work for your company and building their lives and moving forward. Can you talk a little bit about that, the pride that you have as in helping to build this community we call the Valley?
Well, I guess where my deepest connection would come is from the city of Mendota, because my mom is from there and my dad is from there. A lot of times when some of the employees come there, my brother's from there, my sister's from there. In fact, my sister still lives there. What we do is we try to give back as much as we can. Sometimes they'll have parades or something like that, and they'll need trailers. What we'll do is we'll just donate the trailers and we'll donate our trucks to ensure that the children there and the high school students have something to be able to be there. Since I don't live there anymore, I don't disconnect or draw any disconnection from that community, because no matter what, that's where I'm from. So we try to do the best we can, and not just that community, it's the rural communities without the west side, because we all have a special connection on how we grew up.
That's right. That's right. I think there's a song by one of my favorite artists, Neil Young. He always liked to go back to where he grew up because that's where all his dreams were born.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the same for you?
Same for you.
All right. Right. So talk about a little bit, going forward. What are your hopes and dreams? What motivates you when you get up every day?
What motivates me every day when I get up every day, it's just a force of habit. I remember when I was 6 years old, 5 years old, my dad would wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He'd say, it's time to go to work. At 4:30 in the morning, he'd be sitting out with a cup of coffee, and he'd say, are you ready yet? I guess I'm ready. So it's kind of a force of habit, but in conjunction with that, it's assisting my family and other families within the community. Going forward, what I'd really like to see is myself being able to make an impact with my community. This is someplace where I grew up. This is someplace that I'm going to live for the rest of my life. I want to ensure that people have a quality of life, and I want to ensure that people know that no matter where you grow up from, it's not where you grew up from, it's what you want to do with your life. So that's the primary reason why I took on the intern, is because I wanted to ensure that someone who grew up in a different standard of life understands that that's not where you come from. Where you come from doesn't dictate how you're going to live. What you want dictates how you're going to live.
Class is not dictated by how much money you have in your pocket, is it?
That's exactly correct.
There you go. Now, one of the things that, maybe some of our viewers are thinking is, if I'm in a situation where my family right now maybe has financially the short end of the stick, but we have dreams that we want to pursue, based on your family and the way that you've succeeded so greatly here in the Valley, do you have any words of advice to people who maybe are on the beginning of their family journey towards success?
Yeah. Primary word of advice is just stick together. Most recently I went out of town for my birthday. My birthday just recently passed, and my brother's 37, my sister's 35, I'm 33 years old. No matter how old we got, we all went out of town for our birthdays. We celebrated it. I wouldn't be here today without the assistance of my mom, my dad, and all my brothers and sisters. I'm one of the youngest of 7, and we've all stuck by each other. No matter anything that happens, no matter what a family animosity what happens, we're all there for each other every single time it matters. So anybody who's trying to move forward in their life, I would say just always support your family, because no matter what, they're going to be there for you.
Right. And family, would you agree, doesn't maybe someone is, starting out where their family is kind of in disarray, or maybe they don't have a strong family unit. Your core group of friends can be your family. Would you agree with that?
I would.
Whoever your support group is, stick with them, work with them, try to help each other come up.
Yeah, whether it's your wife, whether it's your girlfriend, whether it's your friend, Friends can be family too. You know, your significant other can be your family also. No matter what it is, family can be there. It just doesn't have to be by blood.
There you go. There you go. So one of the other things that I found interesting about the story you told is it sounds like when you were in college that there was a health crisis in your family and it caused you maybe to change your plans a little bit. But it sounds like you didn't see that necessarily as a problem. You looked at it as kind of an opportunity to take a different direction but still pursue your dreams. Is that right?
Yeah, so I had aspirations of going to Columbus University in Washington, D.C. It's a Catholic school and a Catholic law school, but it was a significant change of plans because as a result of it, my dad had a stroke. My dad ran the company. Granted, I had three older brothers, but since I was a child, my dad was the one who kind of trained me, kind of took me under his wing. He was my mentor. And as a result of that, there was nothing more imperative to me than ensuring that my mom and my dad and the rest of my family members were taken care of. And do I regret it? Not one day at all. I love being here in the Valley.
That's fantastic. Well, Mark, you're clearly a person who's not only a high achiever, but you got a good heart, and it's very obvious that you take joy in helping people, and I wish you much continued success.
I appreciate it.
Mark Castro.
Thank you.
Castro and Castro, Law Office of Mark Castro. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back, Central Valley. This is Valley Movers and Shakers. Once again, I'm Kevin Little, and we have our third guest for this episode, David Saunders, who is a local architect and an artist who has his roots on the other side of the pond, so to speak. David Saunders.
Hello.
Pleased to have you on the show.
Thank you.
So you were born and grew up and had the first part of your life in England, is that right?
That is correct. Yes, I spent the first 30 years of my life across the pond.
So how did you end up in the Central Valley?
Long story or the short story? The desire to travel came because my father was in the Air Force and he moved us around as a child. We must have moved 3, 4, 5 times and never really put roots down. So it was in my blood through that, and then I studied as an architect in England, and I wanted to use that profession and travel with it. So I decided that I was going to go to various places and get work in doing architecture.
You wanted to have an adventure within your career.
Yes, and why Central Valley? Well, I came here for the first time when I was 19. I came for my brother's wedding back in 1982, and after the wedding, one of his friends drove me in a little tiny British sports car, an MG Midget,
Okay.
through the valley to Fresno Airport, picked someone up, and then the three of us drove to Kings Canyon.
All right.
So I saw this vast valley and all the production, all the farming that was going on here. I saw the beauty of the mountains, and I fell in love with it. So it was always in the back of my mind. One day I would like to perhaps come here.
And now you are actually a resident of the valley.
Yes, we've had a property. My wife and 2 children. We've had a property here for 9 years, and we've been trying to get here ever since we bought the property, and we moved in 2 years ago. It's a lovely little house up in Pine Flat Lakes, and it's just a nice place for us to consider retiring to one day.
Now, but you're not retired yet by any stretch
Not
of the
at all.
imagination. You're extremely busy.
Yes.
In addition, now let me tell you, you obviously are still practicing as an architect, correct?
Well, yes, there's a story there. I am actually working at an engineering firm at the moment.
Okay.
And all through my career, I've been moving from various places. So I am a licensed architect from the UK,
Mm-hmm.
but I've worked in China and Vietnam and Thailand and various other Asian countries. I moved to Houston, Texas. I was there for 5 years, and then I've been in California for about 18 years. And finally, with the kids away at college, I am taking my license to practice architecture and be able to say I am a Californian architect. I'll be taking the exams this year.
Well, that's
so
fantastic.
practicing hopefully next year. But
That's fantastic. Now, one of the other, you aren't just pursuing your dream and living an adventure in connection with your profession, moving around. You also have, in the recent years, begun to pursue your dream as an artist. Is that right?
Yes, I showed some promise as an artist when I was at school, and then through my architectural career, always doing presentation drawings. I've kept my hand in, and in the last 3 years, I've started painting quite productively. The house is overflowing. Your office is overflowing. And I am thoroughly enjoying painting using acrylic paints on various size canvases. The larger, the better. And it's absolutely a passion now for me.
What motivated you several years ago to begin, in reality, pursuing a dream that it sounds like you've had for quite some time?
I love working as an architect. I love the whole process. I have a particular love of the conceptual process within that, of taking a project, taking a client's wishes and coming up with a design, a concept, and taking it through to fruition, and eventually having a building or whatever it would be, a kitchen or an office, finished for people to actually occupy and enjoy, hopefully. Within that process, there are many people, there are many pressures, there's many stresses, and so I took to painting because that's the opposite scenario. There are no real pressures. It's a process that is thoroughly engaging, thoroughly enjoyable, and at the end result, hopefully, is something that you can then show to others, and there's enjoyment through that.
Well, that's fantastic. And speaking of showing, I know you were kind enough to bring several pieces in for us to show to our audience and to explain and maybe give a little bit of an insight into the type of themes that you explore in your art.
Yes, I do. If I
Okay.
can fumble around here and pull up some pieces. Here is an example of, I'm very passionate about environmental issues. So I will take a subject which you might find depressing, like, for example, global warming.
Right.
Anything that's pollution related, anything that's environmentally hazardous, I will try and take a subject under that heading and I will try and create a piece for dialogue to allow people to have a conversation about it without ramming a subject, without ramming a point home.
So, for instance, this rather pastoral, at least at first blush, looking scene that is depicted in this painting, there's actually a much deeper political message to it.
Political, potentially. It's an observational thing. For example, with this one, we are all exposed to all the fires that are going on around California, and I was totally shocked because having lived in the North Bay for 12 years, the fires in Santa Rosa and Napa, where I knew many people, was a complete surprise to everybody. And I was analyzing what went on. I noticed that there were lots of fires propagating and spreading through explosions of electrical transformers
Right.
and various other means of ignition. And so I call this piece Santa Rosa, and yes, you do see roses, perhaps. I see little explosions. I don't particularly like to tell people what the subject is. I would prefer them to enjoy it, and if there is a dialogue, then I'll kind of move into perhaps a bit more about what it's about.
Well, that's fantastic that you do have a message in your work, but not one that you intend to bludgeon your
Correct.
viewers with. You want
Correct.
them to get derive their own message from your work.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
You have some other
I
pieces?
do. I do love doing sort of aerial shots. I've spent a lot of time in aeroplanes looking down at the lands. I like to see how man impacts the land, looking at all the landscape, all the fences and all the pathways. One might see that as a scarring of the landscape, but I try and look at the beauty that man has put upon the land. It's not in its natural state. It's rare to see the earth in its natural state unless you go to the North Pole or to extreme areas. So this is just a message that there is beauty out there. You can find it if you look at areas in the valley that at first glance you might think, well, this is just a sort of farming area, but you can actually see things of beauty.
And again, you're permitting your viewer to give his or her own take on it. But when you were painting this, was this intended to depict any particular area?
No. I do have an interest in droughts. Obviously, it's something that affects us all. So my color selections will pick up on, the browns and the sort of the yellows of what we're looking at through the summer months. No, I'll take images and store them in my mind, and they'll come out on the canvas willy-nilly. It's just I don't know. I'll just get in the mood and see what happens.
And it sounds to me, David, like, many different art forms create something beautiful out of what perhaps could be considered trying or more difficult circumstance. And your painting seems to follow that theme.
That's the intention. Yes. Number one, there's a message, sure, but at the end of the day, I'd like to create something that's appreciated for its own sake as a work of art.
Well, this is fun. Do you have some other pieces?
I do. Now, I have one for you that I have created specially for you, because I do know whenever I come to your office, you will look at my paintings and you'll see something that I haven't seen before, and then we'll get into this discussion. So I'm going to show you a painting now, and I'd just like to get your take on it.
Okay.
See
I'll give it my
think.
best shot. So I'm being put on the spot on my own show. This is
Indeed,
fantastic.
and there may well be a slight political take on this one.
Okay.
And, there is a something that goes on the top here, which is something from Hawaii.
Okay.
So I would put that up there, but I'm going to take that off now because
Okay.
it's more fun around. So tell me what you see here.
Well, it's very interesting, but my take on this would be what I see are I see kind of the sea foam washing in on a shore, and I see an unusual, something probably you wouldn't see in real life, but so this is kind of a surreal arrangement of pearls, perhaps, on the shore, and then you see something in the background which could be construed as an arrangement of bars, and on the other side of the bars, I see what could very easily be considered a freeway or a road, and what I would take from this, and this is just one man's opinion, okay, one person's opinion, is this to me is a painting that finds beauty, perhaps in our society's tendency to punish or incarcerate people who are all with our problems, and no one knows how we ended up washing up on the shore of our life. But we all, in one sense or another, are pearls and unique and have a beauty to us and a value to us. And I see these pearls here looking from the inside out to the real world. So it's beautiful, but that's the message that I derive
That's
from.
fantastic. And could I just add to that, because I mean that's not wrong.
Right.
That's a great interpretation.
Right.
There's a flag image here.
Okay.
There's a flag and there's colours, and there is the red, white, and the blue,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been put on the frame.
Right.
And there's another colour here, yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at mixing colours,
Right.
you've got the three primary colours that make up all the other colours.
Right.
So we've got the red and the blue.
Right.
We've now got the yellow.
Right.
So to me, I'm playing with some symbolism here
Mm-hmm.
that has a flag subject to it.
Right.
But I've also, picking up on what you've been talking about, there's a migration thing here for me,
Mhm.
and I'm a migrant.
Right.
I'm an immigrant to this country.
Right.
And so with everything I've learnt about the history of this country and the direction it's going, that's what inspired this take, this moment in time that I produced this.
Hmm. So this work is an ode to those, and again, to run with my analogy, maybe it's not yours, these pearls, if you will, who are seeking a new life in the United States, and perhaps the beauty of them pursuing their dreams, and perhaps a little bit of a statement on our current attitudes towards immigration.
Right. And then, as you notice, the frame isn't actually joined. There's disjoints here.
Right.
And the final piece that I was putting forward was the welcome that you get when you go to a particular part of this country, which is Hawaii, and that
Right.
sits on top. And that's something, that I'd like to emphasize.
Well, that's very profound. That's very beautiful, and I like the message. And I think a lot of patrons of the arts give their own interpretation to pieces that they buy, but that certainly speaks to me.
So you're welcome to have this in your office, if you like.
I'll
It's a
take
piece
it
for
for
you.
sure. So we're running out of time, unfortunately, but I think that our viewers have gotten some ideas about the type of work that you've done. Do you have
Do you mind if I
one
just
more
finish
piece
with
that
one?
you can quickly show us?
I've got a stall in the Clovis Old Town Farmers Market.
Right.
It's on a Friday evening, and I'm actually doing little pieces, which is themed towards monoculture, and so all of my paintings are grass related. So
Okay.
you will get a lot of take, and here's a couple of examples.
And so you do have a booth at the
I
farmers
have a
market.
booth.
where you-
Being an architect, I built the booth myself, and I shall be erecting it on Friday and putting up quite a number of various paintings.
And the Clovis Farmers Market, if I'm not mistaken, runs from May through October.
That's right, I believe so. Yes.
All right. Well, that's fantastic. Well, look for David if you go to the Clovis Farmers Market, which you should. And David, thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been really wonderful to see some of your pieces.
Thank you.
So that'll do it for tonight's episode. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next week. Until then, keep moving and keep shaking.
Hardworking, experienced, and capable. With a record of success over more than 2 decades, the law office of Kevin G. Little is one of the preeminent small firms in Fresno. We represent our clients in a variety of matters, including civil rights, employment, personal injury, general civil litigation, family law, bankruptcy, and criminal cases. Our firm also offers excellent mediation services in civil and family law matters. We approach each case with dedication, aiming to protect you and exceed your expectations. Contact us today at 559-342